Free. I'm Noelle. I'm the community director here at Free. And this is Jerome. He's the community ambassador at Free. We are a community for addicts and loved ones of addicts and spiritual refugees. But there is one thing that we don't do here at Free. On the count of three, if y'all wouldn't mind saying all 4 words. 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame. That's right, we don't do shame. But we do a couple other things, Jerome. Do you want to tell the community about those?
Yes, I have 2 big announcements for you. Next week is a rest week. So if you show up, you're going to be lonely by yourself outside. Please don't do it. And there's 2. I said 1.
The welcome backs for our new
Sorry,
members.
I had 1 job, right? Yes, if this is your first time here, 1, welcome. 2, if you see some staff, myself, or the home team's not here right now. I'm sorry about that. If this is your first time here, please stop and see me. We have a gift bag for you. Inside the gift bag is a little bit about what we do, who we are, and some fresh roasted wagon coffee brewed by yours truly, Tammy Canada.
That's right.
And her team. Yeah. So, yeah, and we love to connect with you. So please chase me down or come see me after the service, and I'll be happy to take care of you.
So welcome backs, and then we have a rest week next week. We do 2 of them every year, usually around 4th of July and New Year's. Jerome, I thought, since you're here and I'm here, I thought it would be helpful, we don't do this ever, but to say a little bit about what you do, what your position is at Free, and what you do.
Yes, I'm happy to. So I'm the community ambassador here. It's my responsibility to make sure people know who we are and what we do. That seems like, wow, that's simple. Well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. Some people that are not in recovery have no idea a place like this exists. Then there are those who work in the industry, mental health and addiction treatment industry, very specifically, that also have no idea what we do. It's my responsibility to understand that I carry our message into the community and let people know that we are here to help you regardless of what you're struggling with in life. And if we don't have the answers, people we know probably do.
Yeah.
So we make connections, and very specifically, I want to acknowledge those who are online. There have been multiple incidents, multiple times that people have reached out to us via social media and said, hey, I'm struggling and I need help. They have never stepped foot in the doors of this place, of our space. They don't know anyone here. And then, oddly enough, a couple weeks later, I see them sharing a celebration online. Hey, I've been in recovery for 3 weeks from fentanyl today. That was 3 weeks ago when they asked for help. We make connections. You don't owe us anything. We are here to help. So please keep doing that and let people know that's what we do.
Yeah.
So
Jerome, is, in short, to sum up, you are the community ambassador and you are the conduit to Free, to the outside world, and
that's right.
Sharing our message.
Connections are meaningful to me. I get something out of it because I give back. I did a lot of damage in my addiction, in my days that I struggled. I give back by just unconditionally helping people unlock their true potential. Yeah. That's who I choose to be. So for that, I appreciate it, and I thank you.
Amen,
for helping
Jerome.
me do that.
That'll preach. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. You can hand that. Yeah, we can give it up for Jerome. Look at him. Jerome, you can feel free to give that mic to Matt Naraki here. Well, if y'all are new with us, every week we start service with celebrations. So we want to lift up the good and celebrate with you. So whether we're celebrating your first night back at Free in a while, or whether we're celebrating a sobriety birthday or a belly button birthday, new life within the family, we want to celebrate with you. So raise your hand. I've got Matt and Robin with the microphones. They'll come around, and we'll take 3 minutes and we'll celebrate with you.
My name is Layla, and I just got accepted for a job that I've been praying about, and I start on Tuesday, so
Awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Layla. Love that. We are so glad you're here with us tonight, Layla. It's good to be back. Good to have you.
My name's Heather, and I'm celebrating 4 months sober today.
Awesome. Congratulations, Heather.
My name is Martin, and I'm celebrating 2 weeks clean and sober.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Congratulations.
My name's Mike, and today marks my 30th day of sobriety.
Awesome. That's incredible, Mike. Oh, we got some celebrations. Katie's got one.
My second niece was born this week.
Oh, awesome. Love that.
I'm Charlie, and I recently hit 8 months sober.
Awesome. Congratulations, Charlie. Debbie's got one.
Hi, I'm Debbie, and I am so happy to report that I took my 91-year-old mother for her physical checkup, and they said besides her aches and pains, she's in perfect health.
Wow. So, yeah. That's a blessing. Absolutely. Absolutely.
My name is Brian, and I'm celebrating 6 months this week.
That's awesome. Man, we got a ton of celebrations in the house tonight. Who else has something that we can lift up? Oh, we got one on that chair back there.
How's it? My name's Krista, and I'm bringing my friend Teach for free for the first time to let him experience the community. So
Awesome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Any other celebrations? Well, all right, we can connect with our online community. Robin, are you comfortable to come up here and do celebrations with me? Y'all invite Robin up here. Give her a round of applause. This is her first time. How are you, lady? So here's how it works: is they'll pop up on this screen here, the online celebrations, and I'll take the first and you take the next one, and we'll go from there. Are there any online celebrations, tech team? Oh, they're coming, they say. Okay, first one. Brian O'Brien says, last Tuesday brought me 3 years clean and sober. Nights, weekends, holidays included. That's incredible. I love that. That's great.
Saxon started a new job this past Wednesday, celebrating a new journey. Congratulations to everyone. Whoop, whoop.
Love that. Love that. Congratulations, Saxton. All right. Kai is celebrating 470 days free from fentanyl. Woo! We love Kai. She's the best. And then that red dot that just came up, that means that we're done here. So thank you so much. Oh, appreciate it, Robin. Y'all give it up for Robin one more time. Well, we are in our 6th week of a... Oh, there's a 5 there because on Monday I celebrated 5 years of sobriety. That also includes weekends and holidays. And I learned tonight our guest storyteller Sparkle had 5 years in May, so 2019 was a good year to get sober. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. So we are in our 6th and final week of a series that we've been in on emotions. Tonight we're going to hammer out the emotion of confusion. So here's a video for y'all to check out. So my confusion and my skepticism about God and all things related to a power greater than myself began in high school. You know, when I hit my teenage years, I started to ask some really tough questions, and these doubts began to creep in on me. You know, it's that logical, analytical side of my brain that's intrigued by all things science and skeptic of all things spirituality. And high school teachers, they're heroes. And in high school, I had one such teacher. It was my chemistry teacher, Mr. Price. You know, and one day, we had a free day. And typically, teachers would just pop in a movie, and we would just go on and do what high school kids do, and then 45 minutes later, the bell would ring and we would be out. But that wasn't what Mr. Price had in mind for us that day. I don't know if he was hopped up on a Red Bull or just overly excited about his brand new box of dry erase markers, but for 45 minutes, Mr. Price went completely Jimmy Neutron on us. He hit levels of nerddom that Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates aren't even familiar with. He turned to his whiteboard behind him, which represented infinite possibilities. And he started with, all right, guys, you know this, but every atom has a nucleus. And inside that nucleus, there are protons and neutrons. And those protons and neutrons are made up of quarks and gluons, which can be explained using string theory. And then he went on to explain it using string theory. And then he says it gets even crazier, you guys. If you took that nucleus and made it the size of a tennis ball, the electrons would be orbiting around that tennis ball at a radius of 5 miles per hour, which means, and you guessed it, that there's no space in between the nucleus and the electrons, which means that all matter, including the chair you're sitting in right now, is made up of 99.99999% empty space. And if we were to condense all of that empty matter, it would be called a neutron star. And if that neutron star was the size of a tennis ball, it would weigh more than the city of Denver, and we would all die from its heat. And if you think you need to know any of that in the real world, you absolutely do not. And he went on talking like that, with that level of excitement for 45 minutes. And then he does like a marker drop, just poof. But he makes it look really cool. And he smiles at us. And as a public school chemistry teacher, he says, and how anyone can see all of that and not think there's a creator, that baffles me. Class dismissed. You know, I walked into my classroom that day thinking that science and logic and reason, that they were in this epic battle with my beliefs about God. And I walked out of that classroom that day a little bit more enlightened, with a little bit less of an ignorant perspective. You know, that maybe science, it was just simply human beings trying to figure out, you know, how God designed his creation. And that was one of the moments in my life that stuck with me. Every moment after it, when I was in that jail cell again and again, how did I get in this spot? I want to quit drinking. I can't put the bottle down. I need to stop. I can't stop. When I was in that internal turmoil, I would think about Mr. Price and my high school chemistry class. And I was reminded that somewhere out there was something that had my back. Tonight we're in our 6th week of this series that we've been in on emotions. Tonight I want to talk about confusion. Have you ever been confused? Had tough questions? You know, is God real? How do we prove God's existence? Have you ever been confused? Like spiritually confused? There's a scripture in the Bible that perfectly sums up, you know, spiritual confusion, doubts, and uncertainty. And we can't talk about faith and belief without talking about uncertainty and confusion first. So John chapter 20, verse 24 through 27. But Thomas, sometimes called the twin, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came. So this is right after Jesus predicted and he pulled off his resurrection. You know, that 40-day period of time after his resurrection, right before he descends and he floats up to heaven, where 500 eyewitnesses just witnessed him being crucified. And now they're hanging out in front of him. The 12 disciples are there, but there's one missing. One of the 12 disciples is missing. He hasn't yet seen Jesus yet. Verse 25. The disciples therefore told him, "We saw Jesus. We saw the Master." But Thomas said, "As for me, unless I see the nail holes in his hands and put my finger into the print of the nails and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe." And after 8 days, his disciples were again in the room, and Thomas was with them. And Jesus walked through the locked door, and he stood in their midst, and he said, "Peace be with you." I mean, of course he did. Why wouldn't you do that if you were Jesus? You know, you just conquered death, and you're walking out of the tomb with the keys of hell just, swinging on your fingers. You don't walk through the door, you walk right through the wall. And if I was Jesus, I would have so much more fun with that. So much more fun picking at Thomas. Like, you had doubts and you had uncertainty. But look, here I am, here's the proof. But I love the picture of grace that Jesus has for his friend Thomas. Like, you had doubts, Thomas, and you had confusion, but here's the proof. Verse 27, then he said to Thomas, "Take your finger and examine my hands. Take my hand, stick it into my side, and thrust them into my side. And don't miss the tone here, Free. Do not be unbelieving, but believe." I love this community. I love this community because I feel like we do a great job of proving that pastors, that they don't wear capes. And we'll take you just as you are. And we don't do shame here. And tonight I'm just hoping to further that agenda a bit. Tonight's for anyone who's had confusion, who's had doubts, who has asked the tough questions. Like, you've got confusion and you've got doubts. Well, so do I. And maybe you're thinking that you'll just keep God out of your life and out of your recovery. And I'm just here to tell you that God's not intimidated by your tough questions. In fact, he encourages them. Maybe you need to see tangible proof. Maybe you need to see evidence, just like Thomas, and that's okay. We've got a few minutes tonight, so I want to break down some evidence for us by asking and answering 2 questions. So here's the first. Why is there something rather than nothing? Why is there something rather than nothing? And I know that sounds really philosophical, but just hang with me for a second. Why is there something rather than nothing? Like, why are you here? And why am I here? Why is the universe here when it doesn't need to be here? Because everything that exists, it has an explanation. You exist. I exist. Matt and Rocky, you exist. And the explanation for that is about 7 decades ago, your parents decided to get frisky, and then 9 months later, a baby was born. You exist. Y'all have iPhones. And the explanation for that is that someone designed them, and then a factory created them, and now they exist. But what about the universe? That's my question. What caused the universe? There's something called the contingency argument. And stay with me here. The contingency argument, it's a lot more simple than it sounds. It just says that everything that came to exist, it has a cause. So the universe exists. Therefore, the universe has a cause. And by definition, the cause can't be the universe itself. Like, it's got to be something outside of the universe that created it. So, if this balloon is the universe, if you're smart, you're asking yourself the question, well, how do we know that the universe hasn't always been there? But in 2003, scientists proved that the universe was expanding. So this balloon is the universe, and it's expanding at the speed of light. Right now, in this sermon, in every direction, every constellation, the Milky Way, everything in the universe. This is scientifically proven. Now, this is scientifically proven. Let's rewind a bit. Back 6 years when Free started. Back 70 years when Matt Naraki was born. Back 100 years, 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years, back. At one time, the universe was created. And you have to say it was God. And if you don't like that word, you can call it an extremely powerful, uncaused, non-physical, immaterial, eternal being that created everything in the universe and the universe itself. Or you can just call it God. Free, if we can't separate God from the universe, I don't think we can separate God from our recovery, from our lives. The next one is the moral argument, and it asks this question: why is there such thing as good and evil? And if this intrigues you, I encourage you to check out the book Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. It's a phenomenal book. But let me ask it a different way. Can there be good and evil without God? Like if God isn't real. You know, an atheist, they can save a frightened kitten from a tree. An atheist can walk an old lady across the street. You can do good deeds, not believe in God. But that's not the question. The question is, can you be good or evil by nature? Like, is that a thing? Well, if God doesn't exist, then moral values also don't exist. So let me give you an example. You, me, atheists, Buddhists, Christians, Muslims, we all believe and know that murder is evil. Where did that come from? Was that just an opinion? No, it's a fact. Okay, well, where did that fact come from? Well, it's a moral. Well, let's follow those breadcrumbs. Where did that moral come from? You know, what is that moral attached to? There is this moral standard out there that everyone knows about, and a committee never got together and decided what was going to be part of this moral standard or not. It's just developed somewhere far out past the sun. And for some reason, every single one of us has it written on our hearts. C.S. Lewis says it this way: human beings all over the earth have this curious idea that they ought to believe in a certain way and can't really get rid of it. So where does the moral code come from? Just like the universe, where does it come from? Well, the answer is really similar. It comes from something or someone outside of it. Without God, there's no such thing as good. Without God, there's no such thing as evil. Without God, you can commit murder, but you can't classify it as evil. And without God, you can be generous, but you can't define it as a good deed. There's a scripture in the book of Romans in chapter 2, verse 15, that knocks this out of the park for us. It reads, "They, being us, human beings, demonstrate that God's law is written in their hearts. For their own conscience and thoughts either accuse them or tell them they are doing it right." So that's the moral argument. Free, why does this tangible evidence matter? Why does it matter if we unpack our confusion or our doubts? You know, if I can be really honest with you, over the past year, I've been in this season of confusion. I've taken the spiritual assessment test about 10 times in my recovery, and every single time, faith has been number one for me. I've got about 1,000 other deficits, but faith has always been number one. And so throughout this 5-year journey in sobriety for me, you know, I've always known in my knower that God has my back. I've been concrete on that. So it's been so uncomfortable for me to be in this time period where I have this cloud of confusion, you know, looming around me everywhere I go. And I find myself getting distant in my quiet time. Oh, man, I'm just going to keep God out of this, out of my life and out of my recovery. I'll just handle it on my own. And confusion, it breeds this deep anxiety within me. This anxiety that I physically feel. And so to combat a lot of this, I've been going on these walks. You know, these long walks where I just really have it out with God. And I find my insides are just screaming, you know, like, God, are you even there? Do you even hear me anymore? And then I have this moment where I recognize that I'm trying to hurt God's feelings by screaming at him But then obviously I know that he's out there because I'm screaming at him to answer these prayers. God, I'm just really confused right now. I'm restless. I'm irritable. I feel like the weight of the world's on my shoulders, and I've got these questions, and I don't know where to go. Why is this intellectual piece to our confusion important? Because in the moments where our faith is fragile, it's good to have an insurance policy on our spirituality. Sometimes I need reinforcements to combat the confusion in my head. I need reassurance. Tangible evidence matters. Seeing it matters because it points to a God that we can't. You can keep God out of your life. You can keep God out of your recovery. And maybe you'll stay sober. Maybe you won't lean on your old habits, codependency, whatever that looks like for you, but I can't do that. I know it's a recipe for misery for me. And if you're anything like me, you've got 100 more questions and 100 more doubts. You're going to ebb and flow through these seasons of, man, I've got all these questions, to I'm just so bounded by my faith. And that's okay. I just want you to know that you're so welcome here at Free. And your doubts and the hard questions are too. I was talking to Darren before service, and he listened to a little bit of my message, and he said his grandma used to say that doubt, uncertainty, that was a room in God's house. And I love that. I think that's so true. God could and would if he were sought. And needing reassurance and asking those impossible questions, that's how we seek. That's the seeking. God leaves evidence all around, and it stirs this affection within us, and then we get to look up at the stars and know that it's not just these balls of fire burning billion miles away. Thank you, Pumbaa. But he's out there. And he's not just out there, but he's in here. And he's in here. There's something beyond the furthest constellation. And he's also in here tonight. Here's what I know for certain. Don't waste these seasons of uncertainty and doubts. There are greater answers to your questions than just have more faith, slugger. Just stop doubting, Thomas. Your doubt and your questions, they're welcome here. And they have fueled my spirituality and my sobriety. And if you're trudging through the hard right now of that, I just want you to know that I'm praying for you. But I also want you to know that oftentimes it's just beyond the grid that we try to chart God on, and that's where we find him. There was this old parable that I heard early in my recovery. I know that Free doesn't keep me sober. I know that 12 steps don't keep me sober. And I know that you guys don't keep me sober. God keeps me sober. But in those moments where I'm feeling disconnected from myself, from God, this parable, I sought my God I couldn't see. I sought my soul I couldn't free. But I sought my brother, and I found all three. So in those moments I'm disconnected, I reach out to community, to the women in sobriety, like Sparkle, who have something that I want, that sparkle, no pun intended, in their eye. And they can show me how to walk the path. How did you get out of that? I sought my brother, and I found all three. So I'm gonna play a song for you tonight, and it's called Brother by Need to Breathe.
again. I have the privilege of introducing the guest storyteller tonight, but I want to tell you guys a small story to put this person on the same level that I view them. When I was in my early recovery days, my cynical, skeptical, way of being, I was very resistant to engage with therapy, with treatment. Then somebody asked me, we were communicating about sports and the Olympics in particular, and someone asked me, you respect Olympians, right? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. We had to get very clear on Olympians are the top 1% of their discipline, the best of mankind at what they do. Then they asked me a question. What do all Olympians have in common? I stumbled on it. I gave a few answers. Their work ethic, the time and dedication and practice. They told me, Jerome, all Olympians have a coach. Why do the best of the best need a coach? So I started to dig a little bit deeper, and I understood that coaches see things that you can't see from your perspective. It might be behind you. You might be too close to it. You might not understand. You might be in avoidance. You might be in denial. I don't know. There's so many reasons. Then my skeptical brain took me down another journey. Well, who trains coaches? Well, the person I get to introduce you to is a coach's coach, a person that trains the trainer. That's not a task for everybody. It's a special place, right? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Sparkle Lindsay, one of my favorite people in the industry. Sparkle, it's great to see you. I was waiting for this transition so it didn't screw things up, but it's time to start this conversation. Okay. I'm so grateful that now people get to share one of our conversations. This is a person I lean very heavily on for advice. I know when I send someone to Sparkle that they're in good hands. Not, when you make a recommendation to somebody, you feel like you have a responsibility to check up on how they're doing, where they're at, what's going on. When I recommend someone to Sparkle, there's no worry for me any longer. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. And I have a few questions for you. One of them is, how does confusion participate in your journey to where you are today?
Well, first thing I'll say is, hey everyone, how's it going? Hey. Well, I want to say, May 4th, 2019, I decided to take this journey of sobriety. So I'm 5 years sober. Let's do it. I will be honest with you all, I never thought I'd be a motivational keynote speaker, an author, and a person who trains coaches to be great coaches. My journey started out corporate America, but even before then, I played college basketball at Colorado Mesa University. Yeah. I knew you was going to put that in there.
We have some alum in the house?
Got a little alumni, okay. But during that time, it was my junior year of college. I woke up one morning and I couldn't walk. Don't know how, don't know why, but I had to be at basketball practice that day, and I couldn't walk. Got to the doctor and was told I'd never walk again. When I heard that, my grandmother was with me. My grandmother passed, but my grandmother was with me when I heard that. And I seen her cry for the first time out of one eye. And I looked at the doctor and I said, I'm not gonna walk at all? He said, never again, never walk again. So I looked at him, I looked at my grandma and I said, Well, then I guess I better get you a schedule to my next game because I'll be walking again. I walked out of that place, and with determination and with hard work, I retaught myself to walk again. I played another 2 years of college ball, and I went on ahead and decided to jump into corporate America. The only thing that I could remember was my relationship with God at that time, because everybody else was like, are you getting used to your wheelchair? I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And you know, we really talk about asking the questions. Just ask one question. Ask one question and then be quiet. Listen. If you ask too many questions, you won't get the message. So all I did was say, God, if it's your will, let it be done. And today I can say, I walked again. There it is.
Thanks for sharing that, Sparkle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the physical ailments like can set us off track for many goals in life, and sometimes they put us on a different track than we intended because we're practicing being our best version of ourselves. You know, athletes, military, things of that nature that are physically demanding, and then they put you on this track. So for you, it puts you on the corporate America track, right?
Yes, it did.
And climbing that proverbial ladder and doing all of the things that's being asked of you for someone else's dreams, right?
Yes.
So with your interaction with the corporate world, where did the confusion come in, or what is it? Can you explain what it is you kept running up against that led you to, okay, enough is enough?
Absolutely. I found out that I was being the fixer. I was what my therapist called when I walked in after I decided to get treatment, the doormat, the yes person, the person who felt like I needed to take care of everybody else but me, the person who thought that I was the only one that could get it done, the only one that was going to fix it, and they made me believe it to the point where I had put myself last and to the point where I almost died from it. See, being the fixer makes you feel like you got to take care of everybody else's stuff. And before you know it, you start to believe that the only way you can move forward is by fixing other people's stuff, distracting yourself from yourself, and not allowing yourself to grow at the same time because you don't even realize it. I almost died because I was so busy worried about fixing others that I would go home, be stressed out, take shots, give myself shots of chemo to stay above water. And not only that, but I also was offered a promotion of $125K to keep doing this. And I remember the day that I said, I can't take it. I'm turning it down. Now, I went to jail the day after I said that. And I left. I chose me first. And obviously, I chose me first, and I decided to have a few more rounds, a lot more rounds. And I got into jail. And I remember, once again, some things coming to me. Those things that came to me were that no one was coming. I couldn't remember no numbers. You know how it is when you're like, I'm in jail, I can't, 720, no, I think it's 303, I don't know. I had to sit there with myself and ask that one question, what in the hell are you doing? A few times. And that's when I decided, you know what? It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of me or where I'm going. The only person that can get myself out of this mess is me. And is it a mess or is it just a beautiful disaster? Come on, let's go. Got up out of there and I decided to say, you know what? I am going to pick me first. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know with you by my side, God, anything is possible because I walked. In that time of knowing that it was on me, and I wouldn't say it was on me like I got to do it all and I got to be the noble one, because you know, as a black woman, we always feel like, or people make us feel like we have to be the noble ones. No, I was fighting for my life and to take my life back. The only way to break the lineage and the chains to people not getting help is to get help in front of people and allow people to watch you illuminate so they can do the same. The only way people will do the same is if they know that you can do it, and you're not doing it for everybody else but yourself, and you're allowing yourself to walk in the light that says, let's go.
I love that. I said it last service, but I keep feeling what you're saying. I'm not just hearing you, I'm feeling it, and this is what we're here for. You shared something with me when we spoke this week about your early recovery and how you kept bumping up against the same thing, the same corporate thing, after you already said you weren't going to do that anymore. More corporations or more organizations kept asking you to compromise yourself and saying, hey, this isn't what I need, this isn't what they need, so I'm going to do it myself. Can you bring us to that point in your journey that enough was enough again,
Yep.
and I'm not running up against this time, I'm going to do something about it?
So there was a point in my life where I left corporate, got out of corporate, decided to get sober, and then I became a peer support specialist, okay? From that time, I was 6 months sober, and I really enjoyed my time being able to walk alongside people, figure out where they fit in their puzzle. I loved the whole thing. And the company that I was with, they taught me everything I knew, everything I knew. But there were things I wanted. There were more things that I wanted to come of this. And at that time, their mission had started changing. And I felt that the mission needed to stay the same. And what I started to notice is, once again, I became the fixer again in the company. Then I started enabling the company, where they were only relying on me to get certain things done. So I took a leap out on faith, faith over fear, and I started my own business, Sparkle, the light at the end of the tunnel. My business is 3.5 years old. I started it October 20th, 2020. I started it right in the middle of the pandemic, and I knew I had something more. I had a vision. I wanted to see people grow, and I knew that although we were walking alongside people, what about the coaches? I had become a coach, and I had lost 3 people, 3 peers I lost all in the month of July of 2020. And it was my first time as a coach. I had so many doubts about my coaching. I had doubts about my sobriety. I had doubts about why people were dying. And I just knew that in order for this to grow, if being a peer support specialist, we were going to grow to be great people, which I know the power of the peer is coming and it's already here. When I found that out, I said, I'm going to open my own business, and I'm going to make sure that I train coaches to be great coaches. Because if coaches don't have a great coach behind them, what are they doing? How do they grow? You can't walk alongside somebody else if you don't have your self-care, if you don't have your supports, if you don't have the legs to your table. What are you doing? We can't give our mask away, right? Or that oxygen mask away that we have in the airport. Give it away, now we have no air. And so with that, it was hard to choose me when it came to the business at first. And I thought that I owed somebody something. And so I sat there again. I asked just one question. God, is everything going to be all right? Well, 3.5 years later, 750 coaches later across the globe, everything is all right.
All right. Yes. I love that your experience doesn't just yield quality, it also yields quantity. Oh. Like you get to share who you are for others to do the same. Like it's a true walk the walk, talk the talk. Like you got to have your ducks in a row to be a coach, right?
Absolutely.
Especially a coach's coach. In closing, if you could offer someone, like whether they're in here or whether they're online or wherever they find themselves, struggling with confusion in their journey, what would you offer them?
One thing I would offer is the gift of being honest with yourself. I know it's not easy sometimes, but self-reflection is the best reflection we can ever have. Oftentimes when we get deep with ourselves, It tells us so much more about who we deserve to be and who we intend to be and who we're worthy of, what we're worthy of. We're all worthy of transformation. We're worthy of love. We're worthy of life, understanding. Let life live you. The difference is learning how to live in the present moment. Because the past is gone. We don't know if we're going to be there tomorrow. But we know right now, this is real time. And when I say this is real time, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If you are struggling and if you need help, call it out. Call for help. Do not be afraid. We are not back in those olden days where people have to hold everything and act like you're the strong one. Stop it. Drop down your pride and say, I need help. It's okay. And we're in a day and age now where we have so much stuff going on in the world. We all need togetherness. We all need to be able to communicate with each other. We all need to be honest with each other. We all need to celebrate each other. We need to remember that the way to move and pick each other up is to walk with each other, not drag each other or carry each other, but walk alongside each other and get to the finish line together. We have to do that right now in this age of 2024. The era is changing. Times are changing. The edge walkers have risen. We all, the ones that have been through the pain and the hurt, we deserve space to help. So if you are here to help, if you need help, walk together. Sober Warriors Unite, and I'm not playing about that one. Thank you.
Yes. I knew tonight was going to be special because I've worked with Sparkle for a couple years now, and watching her grow has been a beautiful thing. And from the bottom of my heart, our community is so happy to have you, and we need more of you. So one more hand, please, for Sparkle Lindsay.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
You know, I had never met Sparkle. To be honest, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'd never heard of Sparkle before tonight. I'm also a has-been college athlete, basketball player from Colorado Mesa. And so we figured out we have that in common, and it was just so special. But you make me so proud to be a Maverick. So thank you for being here tonight. And you're incredible. Thanks, Sparkle. Well, if tonight's your first night here, you should know that similar to celebrations, we also want to walk with you through the heartache. We want to pray for you. So whatever you're going through, whatever you need prayer for, raise your hand, and I've got Robin and Matt with microphones, and they'll come around like we did with celebrations, and let us pray for you. So we'll take 3 minutes. We'll start with Layla here.
On Monday, we're having services for one of my roommates that passed a couple weeks ago. And so if we could just pray for her family and those that are going to be hurting in this time.
Yeah, prayers for your roommate and her family, Layla. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, my name is Martin. I just really want to pray for my kids and my family, and also pray for my brothers who I surround myself around every day. You know what I mean? I want them to get well as me, you know what I'm saying? And I pray for all you guys in here. Amen.
Yeah. Thanks for lifting up your family and your children.
Hi, I'm Brian. My family could use some prayers. My father passed this last week. My mother has been in the hospital with heart failure. She's got about 12% capacity, but just prayers for my father. It's in heaven now. Thank you.
Prayers for your father, your mother, your family, Brian. We're lifting you up.
Hi, my name is Yvette. My uncle died yesterday. And I'm just asking for prayers for my grandmother and all of his siblings who are not handling his passing well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for lifting them up, Yvette. Prayers for your family, your uncle, your grandmother.
Hi, my name is Deb. I'm going to be selfish tonight because I have to be, or I'm going to die. I ask you to pray for me to keep me sober.
Amen, Deb.
Hi, I'm Beth, and I had a friend pass away a few days ago from a fentanyl overdose. And I'm just praying, his name is Sean, and I'm just praying for his family, so if we could all pray for his family.
Yeah.
He was really young.
Yeah. Prayers for him. Any other prayers tonight that we can lift you up? Your family? Well, Jim, if you wouldn't mind joining me up here. Nope, no heartaches online. I guess that's a blessing, I suppose, hopefully. Well, thanks, Jim, for A for effort on that one. Well, it is because of your generous donations that we're able to do what we do here at Free. Keep the lights on, help break the silence of addiction. And there are 3 ways to give here at Free. The first is to download the free app. There's a little drop-down menu there, giving tab. If you don't have this app, it's great. It has, if you're missing Rev Ryan, you can check out old sermons on it. It's great. The next is our website. Again, there's a drop-down page to give, and you can either set it up for reoccurring or one-time payments. And the final is kiosks that we have around Free here. And we also have a dip jar out there that's set to $20, and Matt Naraki has showed us how to do this before, but you just dip your credit card in, and you can do it as many times as you want, right, Matt? You test it out after service, but it's $20. So it's because of your generous donations that we're able to do what we do here and continue to do so. So thank you for that. I want to go out in prayer, but before I do so, Deb, are you comfortable to come up here? Okay. Y'all invite Deb up here for me. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
I wanted to bring you up here because when Sparkle was talking tonight, she had just made such an emphasis on asking for help and making sure that we're raising our hands. And you wanted us to pray for you to stay sober. And I just want you to look at all these people and all the people online with us tonight. And I just want you to know that you have an entire community praying for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're here for you,
You're an
Deb.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you wouldn't mind staying up here with me, and we'll all pray together the Serenity Prayer. And if you all don't know it, it's on your screen. You want to open your hands as a sign of openness. Just take a deep breath. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Y'all have a good night and stay safe.